So here's a little, after the fact of going to Chris Moore's place, or I think it's actually called like Cycle Specialties or something like that. More Mafia, as some people know it. So when I originally bought the bike, it was Bryn tuned, because when these came out, I think Bryn was the only one that could really flash them. They had it figured out, and nobody else did at the time. So when I first talked to Chris, he said, make sure that it's wired back the way it's supposed to be. I'm like, I don't know what you mean, but I've never heard of that. This is my first 20. My other one's a 16, obviously. I was like, I've never heard of that, but all right, I'll check into it so it's done right and don't waste more time when I get there. Well, I asked the guy I bought it from. You're sweating. This guy I bought it from, I said, do you have to wire anything, change anything? He's like, no, I just plugged the handheld in and flashed it. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just take it up there, it'll be good. So after we spent, I don't really know, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours trying to figure out what the deal was, we figured out that the ECU wires plugs were backwards to, I think, the European style, which makes the firing order backwards and makes it rev a little bit higher. I think that was the way they had some way of figuring it out. That's how Bryn figured it out at the time, I believe. Problem is, you only get the Bryn video of how to do this is if you buy it. Like if you buy the handheld, which is fine, whatever. Problem is, I didn't have it. Chris didn't have it, because I guess he doesn't deal with it a whole lot, and it's only on the Yamahas that were the 20 and ups at the time. So with X-Plane Tuning, Nick, sorry if I say your name wrong, Monero, I don't really know how you say it. He actually had the video and gave it to Chris when Chris called, and that was a super big help. And I appreciate that, Nick. I know you get a lot of hate from other people, but I appreciate the help, because it didn't really do you any good to help us out, but I greatly appreciate it. It finally got us going and tuned and whatever. So besides that, when I took the bike with the Bryn tune flash, it made 182.9, I think it was. Flashed it back to stock map file, and it made 157. That was just a test, basically, stock run. Put the Woolwich, or Chris, it's the Woolwich flash basically, but Chris kind of critiques it, I guess you could say, like most people do. There's only so many people who actually make a flash. FTECU, Woolwich, the main people. Put that one on there. It made 188, 187, 188, something like that. Might have been 187. He tweaked it a little bit, messed with it a little bit. Did another run, I think tweaked it one more time, and got it to 190, which is pretty impressive in the highest horsepower R1 that he's had there yet. Now everybody's like, well, mine makes 198. Mine makes 200. That's great. All dynos are different. It really doesn't matter. As long as you got a good power curve, air fuel ratio is good, you and the guy next to you could have 5 horsepower difference and he still beat you, and you have more horsepower. It's the dyno is not to a penis measuring contest, you could say. It's just to get your bike running good and gives you a number. People just want to see a number. I didn't really care. I thought probably 185, because I've seen other numbers on this dyno, and very surprised I got 190 out of it. And I honestly think it partly is because of the sprint filter, the flash, which from 183 with the Bryn tune, and then 180, 87, 88 straight to the Woolwich. Now I don't know what the difference was, because he didn't change anything. He just flashed it and then ran it again. Didn't change anything, just see where it was at. And I asked him, I said, so what's the big difference? He thinks probably he can't really see their file. All you can do is basically take it off. He said it's maybe timing, could be anything. He doesn't really know. So it made 190. I think that's due to the sprint filter, obviously, which helps. And this Yoshimura exhaust, full titanium Yoshimura, and it came off the Team Westby Super bike. As most people know, Moto America. You can actually buy this like at the store from Yoshi or nothing like that. It was special made for them. I don't know if I can get a visual in here. Here's one, but every header pipe has a port on it. I assume maybe O2 port. Not 100% sure, to be honest. But that'll tell you right there, most exhausts don't come that way. That's just so they can monitor all kind of stuff that I don't need at all, actually. So we got 190, and you'll see in the Team Westby photos, this is the same bracket that they have that comes only with this exhaust, I assume. I haven't seen any more. So I'm pretty happy with it. I just now took it out for a ride, and in Power 1 it's ungodly, to be honest. You know, my other bike's pretty fast, but this is like, Power 1 is the most aggressive. Like, any throttle you give it, it's giving you that throttle right then, you know, basically no lag time. So when I got where I was going, I was like, man, let me switch it to Power 2, which obviously is way smoother. If you have an R1, you know the power modes and all that crap. So made 190, and Chris said, and from what I was saying, it's the highest horsepower one yet on his dyno. I know, blah blah blah, mine makes 200, all that's cool. I'm happy with it. Power curve was good, air fuel ratio was good, it runs good. And before, with the Brentune, which I'm not knocking Brentune because this exhaust wasn't on here at the time when I had the 3/4 Yoshi, which I still have over there. It didn't do this, but I put this full exhaust on there, which is obviously bigger. It would pop at idle until it warmed up, and once it's been tuned now, it doesn't do that anymore. He said at 9,500 RPMs it needed a bunch of fuel at 9,500 RPMs, I guess, from the full exhaust obviously, and having a bunch of air, not enough fuel. I didn't really ride it hard before I actually got it dyno tuned, because I honestly haven't had it super long, and with 3 kids, full-time job, second job doing grass, you don't get a whole lot of time to ride. So I didn't really get to test it before and after, but I did run one of my other buddies who have a 20, this is a 19 or 20 R1. Even with the 2 down rear that I have that I'll be changing, I still pulled away from him. I don't know how much he weighs. I'm 240 or so. He's probably around the same weight. Dave, I don't know how much you weigh. He's probably around the same weight. And I walked away from him, you know, so it makes a little bit more horsepower than his, and I think his dynoed 183, mine dynoed 182 with the Brentune flash originally, like I was saying, and I still pulled away from him pretty easy. Experience, I don't know, we're just roll racing. I don't know how much experience that takes, in all honesty. So, oh, there's my baby mama.